Go on Facebook and you search for the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. This video will pop up. And so wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can still keep track of the conversation we are about to have tonight. The conversation, a very important one, with a man who once supervised, not too long ago, the newly created Savannah region. Of course, our focus is on also partly on the MPP conference, which ended on Sunday. He was a key member, a key part of that conference. He will be telling us some of the key takeaways from that conference. But of course, we will spend a majority, a huge chunk of the time dealing with issues concerning the creation of 6 additional regions and zoom into the particular creation of the Savannah region and matters arising. Of course, we'll also talk about the constituency which he seeks also to still in the future sit in Parliament to represent. We're talking to Honorable Salifu Adam Brima. Honorable Adam Salifu Brima is, of course, the former Regional Minister, Savannah Region. Honorable, thank you very much for accepting to be here with us.
Moomen, thank you so very much.
You know, I was having a conversation with Alhaji Musa, and we've been having these chats on social media, on WhatsApp in particular.
Yeah.
And so when the matter came up that you had, and we've been following up on this conversation for some time now, when the issue came up that you had agreed to be here today for this conversation, I was pleasantly surprised, but I was also a bit apprehensive of the fact that you may not show up, particularly because the MPP held a major conference in the Ashanti region. It wasn't in Accra, and I doubted if you would be able to come back, given also the fact that flights get booked and sometimes they get delayed and that you may not appear. I even called him 10 minutes to show time and said, look, I haven't seen Honorable around. He says, don't worry, he's around. Were you in Kumasi?
Moomen, good evening. And I want to use the opportunity to say good evening, my people. Savannah, then Salaga Sama constituency. I believe they are watching. Kumasi was good. The Congress went well. We were talking about the giveaways. To start with, the conferences are once a year. The party has to meet, take stock, listen to what the General Secretary has, then the chairman, the treasurer, then any other matter that's come up. So yesterday to Kumasi was okay.
What was the attendance like? We covered it, of course, here at DTV and GVC News, of course. But what the camera captures sometimes does not represent the reality on the ground. We saw huge numbers, of course, of your supporters turning up. But what was it like being on the ground yourself?
You could see the enthusiasm of the people, and a lot of them, everybody who needed to be there was there. The president, of course, was there. The vice was there, and most of the ministers. Everybody who needed to be there was there yesterday.
Some of the conversations that have come up, of course, I'm sure you have seen the reaction from former President John Mahama to some of the issues that were raised. A number of people have said that it turned out as though the conference was a conference to address issues concerning the former president and not what the MPP, which is a party you belong to, had done in the past and continues to do even as it is in power. What's your response?
Oh, no. These are political talks, you understand. If you expect those coming from the other side, you will try to poo-poo or maybe say anything to denigrate what. But I believe this one was focused. The president gave the account of what he has delivered so far. He made mention that all the social intervention programs that we are implementing, we thought of them when we were in opposition. He challenged the NDC since they have been can I say when the party was formed, they narrowed it to the 5 years that they've been in opposition, any one social intervention program that they can mention. Of course, the vice president came and delivered, his speech.
The president made several references to the former president. The vice president made references to the former president. That also have said, and indeed, the conversation on social media broadly has to do with the fact that at some points the president appeared to have even suggested that the sufferings Ghanaians are going through now should be blamed on the former president. And so then many are asking, were you there to discuss him, or were you there to discuss matters of constitutional interests within the MPP?
Moomen. I think a little bit of these jabs are allowed in the democracy. You throw jabs, which they should be well received, and they will move on. Now, I believe the president focused on what he admitted. Worldwide, coronavirus has made the place very difficult for everybody. We shouldn't be ostriches to pretend. That's the truth. But we have to start from where did we come from? I think if you are making a history, that's why maybe they take people. Some people will think maybe we are focusing too much on where we came from, the deficit. But at least you should tell a story, so people to appreciate how far you have taken the country. So I think these kind of little things, we are in a democracy, we should accept them and move on.
Yeah. I'll come to the broader issues of why it became necessary to create new regions, and of course, and we got you here especially also because you pretended, in fact, you made history. You are the first Savannah regional minister. You go in history as that. But let's turn our attention to Salaga North. I beg your pardon, Salaga South.
Yeah.
You were MP for 4 years.
Yes.
You are no longer MP.
No.
What went wrong?
Well, I wish we had started with Salaga. But I have to say, I thank the people of Salaga so very much for giving me the opportunity to make history. You are talking about history, and actually I made history. We were 2016, the Gonja land were the only people who won the seat, Salaga. 7 constituencies in Gonja land. The people of Salaga honored me by voting me into parliament. And I believe they are not disappointed. I delivered, made history.
They're not disappointed?
Yeah.
And is that how the people of Salaga show their approval, by voting you out of parliament?
Moomen, that's what I say. Politics is a conundrum. At the point you don't even understand what went wrong. But we accept. I always say that the voters are always right. Let them try somebody else and see. Maybe. When we do what we say, Sankofa, then we'll see what, But I believe, I say so because of the developmental issues that I've done. All the developments.
So, you see, I have been out there as a journalist, especially in rural areas. And Salaga, well, it's a town, but under Salaga, the peripheral areas of Salaga are mostly peri-urban and rural areas. I've been to many of these areas, and the people are part of the group that would necessarily be described as poor people. And then again, you look at MPs, members of parliament, such as yourself when you were in parliament, and the allegations against you, and by you, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the general you, is that when you come to Accra, number one, your constituents don't hear about you in parliament. Number two, they don't see you in the constituency as well. What's the reality?
No, that one, you are right. And that's the challenge everybody coming from up north will face. See the distance. Where's the office of parliament? In Accra. And unfortunately, or fortunately for me, because if I have not made a minister, all the developments I've done in Savannah and my constituency, there's no way, 275 MPs, so how many people will be able to get development to their people? So this challenge is like, we don't see him. But of course, if you are not in Accra to lobby, your people won't get what they want. Yes. You shouldn't run away from the fact. As a minister, my office, regional minister, my office in Damango, the constituency is Salaga, Parliament is here. Moomen, is it surprising that it's only the Greater Accra Regional Minister who our second term in office is a sitting MP?
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I haven't thought about it. I know people have gone out of Parliament, and the President came with a policy that for those of you who failed to retain your seats in Parliament, automatically then you would not be nominated for ministerial positions. Yeah. But wow, interesting. Oh, yeah, yes. Only the Greater Regional Minister.
The President is a listening person. Those of us who were ministers, four of us were sitting MPs. One, unfortunately, he couldn't even make it to across primaries. Those of us who were ministers, sitting MPs and ministers, we all lost out.
Why?
Otherwise, I've just told you, combining MP duties, the regional minister, this position, and starting new regions.
But many of you, when you get into Parliament, one of your major desires is to be nominated as ministers of state.
Mommy, that's another issue. For me, that's another issue. It is the whole constitution need to be reviewed. But until this is done, the reality is the reality. If you're not a minister, just an MP, they say we promise when we come, I'll do this, I'll do that. But the reality is that the MP, you are a lawmaker. But your constituents need you to bring development. And now we are sitting present arrangement. If you're not the minister, you can't say anything.
But the MP, and I'm sorry I'm cutting you to sometimes in the middle of a statement, but the reality also is that when you were campaigning, other members of Parliament were aspiring to become MPs. You did not tell the people I'm going to Parliament. Yes, you didn't tell the people, oh, vote me so I can go and get laws passed and so on. You were telling them, I'll bring you bridges, I'll bring you roads, I'll bring you school buildings. And then when the reality hits, you say the MP.
Yes. That is the accusation across. But I tell you, that is not what we seeking to be office. That's not what we say. Probably you say maybe facilitate. You say we will facilitate. We say we facilitate. And I'm telling you, Moomen, deep down my heart, I've been there. If me and you go to Parliament and you are not a minister and I'm a minister, you can't do what I'm doing. What are we? That's the reality. So until we get to a point where there's a clear distinction between, and it's a constitutional issue, so majority of ministers must come from Parliament.
So more than 50%
yes.
of the ministerial appointments must be from Parliament.
Yeah. Yes. Marrying this British in the American system is giving us a lot of, everybody knows. But we got into a stage where we'll take it like, let's hold it by the hands. There should be a separation of pure lawmaking and executive.
Well, you had the double advantage of being not just an MP, but also a regional minister, a minister who had his constituency under his jurisdiction. So you had oversight responsibility of Salaga North, I beg your pardon, as MP, but also as regional minister.
Yes.
You had no excuse to tell us you couldn't facilitate the development you're talking about, because you were the implementer as well as the one doing the lobbying at the same time, and so you were lobbying yourself, basically.
That's why maybe I didn't put it clearly. I'm so grateful to the president for making me. It's a medium first regional minister. You name it. Had it not been for that, all the development I've sent, there was no way. And it's not, I tell you, you don't lose seats just because of development. Moomen, if you go to the ground and they tell you that we lost that seat, I promised the president I was going to deliver 4 seats. But unfortunately, mine slipped. you know what it would have meant? Winning 4 seats. We have been in majority in.
How many did you win?
7.
Did the party win in
3?
You won 3.
We had 1 and we had gone to 3. So we have been a majority if I deliver my seat. Probably you can see the pain. If I deliver my seat, we have been majority in opposition presidential candidates region, Mama's region.
Which are the major towns and villages under the Salaga North?
South.
What do you keep?
Salaga South.
Salaga South constituency.
Salaga is our main. Salaga is our main descent. Then we have
Pembe.
Pembe is a traditional. Pembe, you can put Salaga Pembe together.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Then they have it is difficult to reach. Abruma is where Laji comes from.
So
then we have Lamsa, the surrounding peripheral villages. We have Kafaba, we have Lamsa, we have Sisipe, Kakoshi, Kalandi.
So let's talk about the development needs of these persons vis-a-vis what you say you did for them, both as regional minister, the first regional minister of the Savannah region, and also MP for Salaga South. Now, Kafaba, for example, was in the news in recent times, maybe a year ago, for all the wrong reasons. But I attribute that to lack of education on the part of the people. They killed a woman allegedly because she was engaged in witchcraft. Then you talk about Salaga itself. There's the slave market from the past, which could have been a huge tourist attraction. Unfortunately, it is a pale shadow of what people expect it to be. What did you do about these?
Salaga. You failed to mention one of the major things that has been afflicted Salaga for a long time: water.
True.
So Salaga is noted for wells and what, because we are looking for water.
And a poor road network.
Poor road network.
Joining Salaga to Tamale and to other areas.
Yeah. Those are the issues, Moomen. Uncle Sally tackle head on, accounting for possibly the loss. You mentioned Kafaba, the killing of the 90 Aquadente. Such a frustrating and terrible thing that could have happened. That happened to be my constituency, the community. You read it to media, it was all over the place. Unfortunately, we are not even noted, Salaga, you don't note it for witchcraft, never. Unfortunately, it happened. The police couldn't arrest the people who did that. The president was coming to Savannah 3 days. And we hadn't yet arrested. What did we do? Our traditional authorities, the police had to invite the chief. The chief saw it like the people saw that they have been arrested. They've arrested their chief. Well, we have to get the culprits. Almighty Tamale Salaga Mankango Road. It had been on the drawing board. You will weep. If you are going from Tamale to Salaga today, what did I do as a regional minister and an MP for that area? I abrogated the contract. I'm proud to tell you that the new contractor who is doing it is seriously working.
At the risk of getting us judgment that you abrogated the contract?
No, we went through the... No, you abrogate judgment.
What led to the abrogation of the contract?
We are taking the contract for years, not work. Money has been paid advanced. The people were crying, of course. There was this big project I was to get for Mankango, the port. We are talking about something similar to having Tema Port. They went to look at it. They said, "What is so terrible? We needed to do something about it." We came and make, representation to the Minister of Roads. We went through the reason, terminated the contract. I was doing it for my people. I've done it for my people. Yes.
So water,
thank God. is going to be a thing of the past. Huge tank to supply water. We have just water, a place we call Kalandi. Because no attention was paid to it. Fortunately, the son of the soil, the constituency from Salaga. We solved the water problem.
So as we speak, Salaga has water.
Salaga has
pipe-borne water, borehole water. Which
pipe is pipe. Unfortunately, we sink a lot of borehole, can't get water. So the only one is to get the pipeline.
So we've heard this several times. There's one thing telling the people they now have pipe-borne water, and another thing having the people actually open their taps in their homes and getting the water flow.
Extensions that we are working out now. And I can tell you, some people out there, water is flowing in Salaga.
On a daily basis?
Once
in a month. But every day there's water somewhere in Salaga. Because,
yes.
Okay, good to find out about that. So, one of the key highlights of your government in the last 5 years has been on education, free senior high school education. Salaga, as far as I know, has 2 major senior high schools, the Ahmadiyya Senior High School and the Salaga Senior High School. So beyond just making it easy for parents or taking the burden of fees off the shoulders of of the shoulders of parents, what else did you do as a government, as an MP, as a regional minister at the time, to ensure that there was extension of infrastructure to accommodate the huge numbers of students who had begun trooping to these schools?
You know, the Minister of Education, there's a lot of Salaga Secondary. We have we got some extra classes, structures built. Then talk about furniture, giving furniture to Salaga Secondary School. There are some projects that are not completed. So because of the numbers, you know, to avoid this kind of shift, government has tried to speed up some of these projects and bring them up to scratch.
And you did this. This was done under your watch or after?
Yeah, no. When I was still in office.
Can you provide us with more information, especially concerning the provisions that you gave out to these schools? We need a little more detail.
A little more detail. That one I will have to. If you are mentioning it, I will have listened. But some of the infrastructure, like Damango Secondary School, they got some structures in the schools. Central Gunja, BP, they also got some structures, you know, to be absorb the students.
Your constituency, Salaga South, most people there engage in farming.
Yeah.
You introduced as a government the planting for food and jobs. Yeah. Did it reflect in the lives of the people? Did you? Or was it just a mantra?
No, it's not a mantra. Moomen, that program has been very, very successful. It may be a recent time you have a problem with the fertilizer, maybe we should admit and see how we can, you know, refashion into. But it has been a very, very wonderful, successful program.
The allegations that party apparatchiks, supporters of party and party executives were the ones who had access to the fertilizers, subsidized fertilizers, and so on, until you could prove that you knew somebody who knew the regional minister or the MP, which was you. It was very difficult to have access to fertilizer, and so you had a lot of farmers in some of these areas, including your constituency, struggle.
Moomen, those allegations will come, and they remain. They just continue to remain allegations. Yes, when we talk about some places closer to the border towns, yes, fertilizers are being smuggled, you know. But it's we, the people. It's not the politician or it's our people, the farmers themselves. Those who have access to it, they try to smuggle them. You know. But I won't sit down here and deny those, you know. Maybe we have to now look at how to tighten things happen, you know, so that those beneficiaries who need to get those items, it goes to them. And you, the watchdog, you know, the media, if you highlight some of these things, you know, then the security and maybe the Minister of Agriculture will be able to tighten more, you know, or the loose ends, you know, so that the program becomes more, you know, better for everybody.
So, and now I am slowly shifting to your role as a regional minister. I've been trying to get us to focus on your role as MP, but I'd like to understand from your perspective as a former MP and one hopefully who would get back to Parliament, what are the core duties in order, because your constituents are watching and listening now, so they can better appreciate what to expect of maybe even the current MP, and in future if you happen to get back there, what are the responsibilities of an MP? What were you doing when you were in Parliament on a daily basis, which you believe your people didn't understand, but which you believe was in their very interest?
It is a question of understanding. It's not a question of understanding. The issue is that maybe we didn't drum it well enough. The main duty of an MP is basic lawmaking, trying to see how we can fashion out laws to, you know, better the lives of the people. Like currently, what they are considering now is the budget, imposition of taxes, removal of some of the taxes, basically lawmaking to see, you know, the executive will bring policies, then ours is to see how we can fashion them. But we're taking this extra burden. That's what the people expect us. You are closer to executive, you can bring developments, you know, which is overshadowing the main duty of the legislative arm of, you know, the MP. Now they expect you to bring them, like we were talking about water. We are talking about roads, electricity. But the Savannah region remained one of the poorest penetration when we talked about light. So as and people coming from that area, that's what the people expect you. Light is a very basic necessity that everybody to have. So you come, everybody expect you, the MP, you bring them light. And I'm very, very happy and very proud that that area, my difficult to reach area, Kolo, we were able to get, there was no light. I should give credit to the former MP who started right.
And currently we're showing you some videos from the Savannah region. A while ago you saw one of the famous mosque at Larabanga was on your screen a while ago. We'll be talking about the potentials in that region, and this is the Mole Park in the Savannah region, the famous Mole Park. And there is an elephant which basically comes to town and lives amongst the people without harming them and neither fearing of itself being harmed. It's and there are a lot more of such in that area. We're talking about the tourism potential in this area as well. Of course, you know about the famous Mystic Stone as well, is located in that very region. And then, of course, we do know about some others. That famous road, the Solafufusu Road, which became a constant feature in Ghana's budget every year. We will talk about all of this, but we're having a conversation with the former Honorable Regional Minister of the Savannah region, the first minister for the Savannah region, Honorable Salifo Adam Brahma, who was also at the MPP conference in Kumasi a day ago, and he has been sharing some of his experiences there with us. A few of you watching us on social media are taking part in this conversation. I'm enjoying the great submission. This is from Abdulaziz Kanyiti Joyce. It says, "Man with a good heart." These are the people we need in our country. I'm enjoying the discussion. My former boss is being very honest with his responses. and also explaining how the practical realities of the situation when he was in office. Ohima Diana Osemante, thank you very much for your message. Mohammed Yakubu says, great time with Honorable Mohammed Yakubu, thank you very much. Batewura Butewura says, this man is a realist. He is a distinguished personality, and the style of politics is unique and very different from the others or most politicians. You can keep your messages coming in as well. I see a lot of you having interest in this conversation. For those getting in touch with me on WhatsApp, I'll be reading out your WhatsApp messages pretty shortly. But Honorable, so let's turn our attention to the regions, the 6 new regions. To start with, was it even necessary?
Moomen, I tell you, it is only a man with a good heart, foresight, courage, somebody who knows this country in and out, like the president, Nana Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who realized that it's the real need for the creation of the regions. Very real need. First, the identity. I'm talking about Savannah. The fact that we now have a region of our own. What the people are so proud of, they have their own regional House of Chiefs. First, we're subsumed under the whole northern region. So, identity crisis. Anything you want, you are going to Tamale. Now we have our own region. That one, perfect. We are now have. People are so proud they have their own region. And this is something they've created for over the years. Our grandfather started looking for this region. So it took somebody with a heart. And probably because he has traversed this country, he has gone around, he knows the basic needs. Look, I tell you, our road infrastructure, you just mentioned solar fuel. So that was the only road we can boast of. With the creation of the region, attention has been paid to the fact that Savannah will lack routes. And I was telling you about electricity penetration. He started by giving us, he identified 3 critical routes. All regional means that you come out, discuss with your people routes that are so critical. So we have Daboyaman Cargo. We have Bunjai Fufuso Road. Then we have Salaga Pandai, which is being done. Then we have Salaga Bimbila, making it 4. Salaga Bimbila already was not among it, but we've just boxed in one of the critical roads. So it just shows how we're left behind all the regions. So we should be very, very grateful to the president for this. And on top of that, he also identified some of the decentralized departments. He says they should be decentralized, bringing governance very closer to the people. So we now have feeder routes, urban roads, highways in the all decentralized. And not only Savannah, the newly created regions. So we asked for...
But we already had a decentralization policy. The district assemblies were functioning, and they had some, or maybe sometimes even all of these agencies were talking about under these assemblies.
But we are talking about now the people. Go to Damango. Because everyone was asking, we've now opened up Damango is to look like the families. We will get there. What we are talking about is not the attention the people are getting as a result of this creation of the regions. It's not. Now we have the decentralized departments being built. Ministry of Health is in Daboya. Daboya is in there.
I've been to Daboya several times.
Yes. Health directly is Bole. Salaga has the feeder routes. No, Damango has agreed. So that's what we are talking about. Then you have the edifice RCC building. Now you are talking about health insurance. Most of the major departments that were not found in Savannah, that people have to travel to Tamale or Accra. Now we have them in Damango. Moomen, what can you ask for?
So, having these agencies now established in, and we're talking about Savannah region, so and by extension the other regions that were created, and so on. Then that's the magic wand. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, all the problems.
No. You are bringing governance closer to the people.
You are bringing central government closer to the people. But we are hoping that you rather bring decentralized governance to the doorstep of the people. We could have used the opportunity to strengthen the decentralization process, the district assemblies and MMDCEs. Yet we decided to introduce whole regions.
That's another leg of it. Now see how to deepen decentralization. Well, do you appreciate what I was talking about? That these ones, either you needed to travel to other places.
I appreciate, but sometimes when I sit here also, it's not about me.
Yes.
The mindset, and there are people who are watching.
No, sorry, I'm directing.
No. I have no qualms about that. But there are people watching who expect me to ask certain questions.
Probing questions,
and I'm asking on their behalf. So yes, so you got, for example, in Damango, the regional capital, but that's not. It didn't come with a controversy. There were controversies. You are MP. You were MP for Salaga South. There were a lot of people who wanted Salaga to be the regional capital. Damango was chosen.
Moomen, that's why I see some of these things. They are very, very emotive. Can you imagine I'm sitting down there as a regional minister, the MP? Well, here, when the regional capital, to be frank with you, the Savannah regional capital was expected to be one of the look, everybody praised Gonjaland for all coming out to say we've decided that Damango will be the regional capital. In some of the 5 regions, they couldn't even be thinking about mentioning in the petition a regional capital, and that you won't even have it. That was but there seemed to have been a general acceptance that Damango. Of course, government who have done it had gone to the people to find out where to will put the capital. And some of the places, the regional minister, local government will tell you if you meet him in confidence. Some of the places they don't even talk about regional capital. So let's create a region. After that, but we Gonjaland, Savannah, we had agreed. So all of a sudden, after mentioning Damango, meet my place. You're a media person. The party office was banned.
I know. I sat here, and that evening we went over live to Salaga, and the scenes we saw there.
I didn't know what was happening to me. What? You ban the party of the soul of the party. So of course, I was questioned. What promise did you give to your people that the regional capital was coming to Salaga, and then they will take the anger to this level? Honest to God, we didn't know what happened. I had no idea. Some people were deceiving them. They were bringing the regional capital to Salaga. I mean, to be frank with you, look at where Salaga is. If the capital goes to Salaga, why wouldn't I be happy? But the reality is that Damango is the center of Savannah. If you see how the districts are located, but it's unfortunate. I say this is a very, very emotive thing for me. Well, these are some of the things that anger the people and the Moomen. My mother is from Damango. So the accusation was that we traded in. My father is from look at Patrina. My father is from to pay me. My mother is from Damango. That was the accusation. That was the things you leveled against me. And then I traded.
Your father is the famous J. Brahma?
Yes.
Tell me about your father, and I'll come back to these issues. One of the kingpins of the MPP in Northern Ghana.
People's Party, it's Moomen, what I can see is not to glue or sit down and be blowing your horn.
Tell me about your father. If you miss blowing your horn, do
a very great man. Great man. That's what I can see.
What was his contribution to the party? There are those who say that some of you are benefiting not just from the work that you have done yourself for the party, but from the works that your fathers may have done, and that you do not deserve some of the things coming your way, except for the fact that it was your fathers, and that has been a tradition within your party. That's you have to come from a certain line of people, the Dombo, Buzia, Dankwa tradition, and then some others within that tradition. If not, then forget it. Your father was a tall figure within the MPP.
He was, and he stood for his principles, died for his principles, fought for this tradition to get it where it is. To the point, some of us are lucky he escaped preventing detention. Some of them wouldn't have been born. When Nkrumah was, he was the only person who stood up and spoke against the Preventive Detentive Act. They were in prison for that.
J. Brahma was imprisoned,
yes,
for speaking against the Preventive Detention Act. Okay, yeah. So do you agree that you perhaps are benefiting today from the big name of your father,
yep,
from within the party, yes, and that there are others who could equally have been qualified, but they don't have that background of fathers whose names they could depend on? Is that something you would count on?
It's true. It's by accident or birth. At times, some things will affect you because of where you're coming from. At times, you benefit from some things you come. I tell you, I'm so proud. That man is my father. Mm-hmm. And he lived a very good and exemplary life. I went to interviews. You can imagine you go to interview, they ask you, the Brahma you're bearing, is it related to J. Brahma? The educationist, he's a senior brother. J. Brahma, the original name J. Brahma Jr. Then you say, oh, there's your Brahma, is it related to the former education headmaster? I said, no, he's a brother. So, you mean the original J is your father? I say, yes. And you get somebody in the panel get up. Moomen. So that's a life we also want to live, so that our children can benefit. Well, yes, probably we are benefiting because of their name. If they are lived a very terrible life, you can also imagine you suffer
the consequences of the act.
So it's always good, to live a good life, a name.
All right, let me go on WhatsApp and speak to a few people, and then I'll come back to the studio. A lot of people are having questions for you. This one from Isaac Asari says, good evening, Moomen. Enjoying the discussion thoroughly. I'd like you to ask your guest, who is a former MP, why he will not accept that, yes, he may have done some wonderful works for his people, but being rejected also means that the people expected him to do certain things which he didn't. Has he now, upon reflection, identified those things he was expected by the people to do which he didn't? If yes, what are these? Honorable. Somebody, as Kasari is asking, yes. So basically his question is, you lost an election, and you have touted some of the major achievements, the things, the development you brought to the people of your constituency, but also of the larger region. But he says, for you to have lost an election despite these things you have mentioned, it means there was a certain flaw.
Yes.
Have you identified that flaw?
Moomen, it's difficult to see. But given another opportunity, I'll do some things differently.
Tell me.
I have an NGO background. I was serving my people. Politics is not as a straightforward jacket like I will identify why we lost the election. Abolition of the contract, the 90-year-old, that one couldn't have prevented it. You understand? Then some things really, it's not everything you can see on platforms like this, but he's right. I admit that maybe, you see, when you lose an election, everybody thinks there should be something that we didn't do right, and that is the truth. So giving another opportunity, we'll do things maybe differently.
Okay, Yasser Arafat, I don't know if that's his real name. Yasser Arafat says, good show, Moomen. I like the way you are asking the questions in a gentle manner, and I also admire the Honorable's responses. He's very calm. But ask him if he is aware that his contender, and I'm sure you're talking about opponent who won, spent a lot more money than he did. Ask him straightforward, was he stingy during the campaign? Right, I have to ask these questions because that's what the people are asking.
Probably.
You were stingy?
No, not that I was stingy. The probability spend more money than I did. I don't know.
Why didn't you spend money? Campaigning demands that you spend money in Ghana.
That's the problem we have. People think politicians will have money. That's the problem.
You don't have money?
As a city, I can tell you I don't have. I'm talking about myself.
We expect politicians to have money.
Yeah.
I mean, not me. Ghanaians. And I'm saying this based on the fact that every time we meet persons and you want to talk about a former minister of state who now lives in a certain house or drives a certain house, people get surprised that upon all these years in power, why is he driving that kind of car or living in that kind of house? They expect you to live a certain lifestyle long after you have even left office.
That is a major challenge politicians have. And talk about, so like I say, it's the expectations from the general public. We are our own enemies. So we'll see, going forward, maybe we'll be able to gradually change the mentality of people.
Okay, so this one is from Furewura. Okay, again, I'm not sure these are your real names, but Furewura says, good evening. Again, I want to add my voice to your previous texters who said they are enjoying the show. This is a very calm mannered man, and I really admire him. I've been in the region for several years, and I can tell you that under his watch the controversies and scandals were few and far between, if any at all. But one thing he hasn't told you, Moomen, is the fact that there were chiefs who were not happy when the demarcation for the Savannah region was being done. Ask him how he handled those controversies. Were there any chiefs who were unhappy with?
So what really comes to mind is Lukula. Recently it was also in the news again. A town, about 3 of the towns under Daboya, North Gonja districts. When they were carving out the region, the places, the settlers who are there, they are Mampusis. So they say they wanted to be part of Northeast. And that is Gonja territory. You understand that? But that one is even far-fetched. We have managed the conflict there very well, to the point that that's the only place the president won. Yes, the president won the presidential and won the parliamentary. Moomen, I spent a lot of my time dousing the security issues. Bole was in a good area. Bole was under curfew. I promised them the curfew will be lifted. We've now had a resolution. I worked in collaboration with the committee of eminent chiefs. With their collaboration, we were able to solve Bole. Bole is now as the chief.
We have 5 minutes to go. Within those 5 minutes, I'd like to, because you brought up the issue of security, these herdsmen versus farmers. How did you handle that? There was a time it was becoming a matter of national concern, really. How were you able to?
No, we have some dynamic chiefs. This one, most often, somebody cannot, the Fulanis, they can't come into those places without the chiefs, the knowledge of the chiefs. So you just give the chiefs their due respect. You know, get them involved in anything you are trying to do, resolve the issues, and when they buy into this, then the resistance will be minimized. But it's when we try not to recognize the authority, you know. But to face the facts, when the chiefs, the Fulani men go to see them with, you know, the cows, you know. So you just need their buying into that they are destroying the farmers. Can you imagine they will just graze and go and clear somebody's farm? Somebody's 1 year investment, you know. So that's how we will handle it with the police. You know, you talk to the police you can't go and start shooting the cows. If you get the traditional authorities to buy into them, those are some of the ways we go.
All right, Honorable, I'll ask you to, within 1 minute, just look at your constituents, the people of Savannah region, where you supervise for at least 2.5 years or more, and give them a message. But Muhammad Nasira says, man of action, Salaga South misses you, but we shall revert, inshallah. Abbas Bozi, Muhammad Abbas says, Uncle Sally did not just lose the seat, but God in his own wisdom did that for the good people of Salaga to know the difference between water and alcohol. Adnan Ibn Tamin Sise, yo, Uncle. Okay, so this person says, so it's true you knew we would not get the regional capital in Salaga, and you deceived us to believe it will be given. Did you promise anybody? He was not listening to us. This person, Ewun Toma Yakubu, says, you are just an action man. Thank you. Gonjaland all the way. Thank you for your great service to Gonjaland and the entire Savannah region. Joyce Donko says, hi, Mr. Moomen. How is your family? So this is not about me. So Joyce, we'll talk later. You can get in touch on my private page later, and then we'll talk about this, Joyce. Naomi Zato says, herdsmen and the cattle wahala, thank you for dealing with it to some extent, but please extend the helping hand to the current minister and share some of your experience with him to deal with this security issue. Are you in touch with the current minister?
He's also a very capable person. He's doing
have you been sharing that?
Oh yes, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
All right, great. So now let's wrap up. Talk to your people.
No, I want to look Salaga people straight in the eye and tell them, Uncle Sally hasn't changed. I still remain committed to uplifting Salaga. I promise I'll give them light. We've lighted the place for how many years? Since independence, they've never had lights. I promise them that I've delivered. We have the township routes, which is a major concern of the people of Salaga. Moment I looked the president when he was in Salaga and told him straight, if the water problem in Salaga was not fixed, I couldn't tell him whether I would contest. Yes. He told me, oh, how can your uncle is the managing director of a water company. So we committed ourselves to, I told you, we've done that. And I want to assure Salaga people and Savannah people that Uncle Sally is still ready and there to serve them. The township routes, I've got the township routes 15 kilometers to be done for Salaga. The contractors, they should give them, they will come. It's a question of this COVID which is affecting revenue, and the contractors have not been paid. But that is not an excuse. They will do it.
Thank you so much. And my boss, Peggy Amadonko, has some extensive documentaries on the Savannah region. We may want to get some of those documentaries later on after the news, so people can appreciate what Honorable has been telling us here. Of course, this has been Moomen tonight. We've been having a conversation. We started off with the MPP conference in Kumasi, and we focused on the Salaga South constituency and the Savannah region, and generally the politics around that area as well. We've been speaking with Honorable Salifu Adam Brahma, who is the former regional minister for the Savannah region, and so you hope to get back to Parliament?
Hopefully. We're working very hard.
All right, so we'll see about that. I wish you all the best, sir. Thank you so much. We'll be here again tomorrow. We'll bring you another edition of Moomen Tonight. Until then, you have a very good night. Thanks to the entire production team. We'll be back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.